right. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Community Church. We're in part 4 of a series called What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do. And to tell you all about that, I want to give you a little story. So I have taken a trip to Tuscarora Inn and Conference Center in Mount Bethel, Pennsylvania, probably like 40 plus times in my life. And I know that route really well. Well, years ago, even though knowing this route, I headed that way from Long Island, headed west on the expressway, got onto the Cross Island Parkway, took the Throgs Neck to my least favorite road on the planet, the Cross Bronx Expressway. Yeah, you know. And I took the GWB, right? And that's like the normal route, and then you get to 95 South, and you want to get onto Interstate 80. Well, I was traveling with friends and my wife, and we were just having fun and talking in the car. We get over the George Washington Bridge, and I'm just like, all right, I just got to keep an eye out for 80, and we'll get there, right? Well, some time goes by, and I'm like, I don't ever remember seeing signs for Trenton, New Jersey on this route before. And I come to find out that I'm like 20 to 30 miles south of the turn that I was supposed to take to get onto Interstate 80. And basically what happens then is I realized this. Now this is before, I should mention, before smartphones were everywhere and we had GPS built into our phones. So I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to get back. So I get back onto 95 north, find the 80 exit, and then take that west. And we arrive embarrassed, 2 hours late, spent some more money on gas than I needed to, spent more time in the car than I was supposed to. And I mention this story because I had a destination in mind. I had a place that I was trying to get to, but my intentions were not enough. It's not enough just to be like, I really want to get to Pennsylvania, when it turns out I was headed in the wrong direction. I was headed south, like all good New Yorkers, to Florida. And really what I needed to do is head west to Pennsylvania. And the reason why this happened, my direction was off, because I had made some poor decisions. I had trusted myself really well to just know where to go. And I was on autopilot and I messed up. And while this is a funny story, it didn't really cost me too much in real life, actual life is a lot like this as well. That maybe you wouldn't call them destinations, but there are places you want to be in life. There's a person that you would like to be at some point in your life. Like we talked about in previous weeks, like if you could imagine yourself in 5 years, what would you be like? What would your life look like? What kind of character would you have? What habits would you have developed? What things would have occurred? And oftentimes our destination is influenced by the direction we're headed in. But the direction we are all headed in, each of us individually, is determined by our decisions. It's determined by how good of a decision we make. And this series, What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do, is intended to help you ask great questions, better questions that will help you inform your decisions, thus leading to the direction and then finally your destination. Because here's the thing, a lot of times when we make bad decisions, we just go, I wasn't smart enough in the moment. I didn't have enough information. But I don't think that's always the case. Sure, there are times where, we don't have enough or we weren't skilled enough to make the right choice. But oftentimes what really matters is the types of questions we ask. The better the question, oftentimes the better the answer, which will get us where we want to go. And that's what this whole series is about. When you're in a situation where you don't know what to do, maybe it's a brand new situation, it's a circumstance you never expected for yourself. Maybe it's difficult. Maybe it's like this huge life hurdle. Maybe it's a major obstacle that you're like, I cannot believe this is in my life. It could even be a positive thing, an opportunity. There's an opportunity that sits before and you're like, do I take it? What do I do about this? And you're not sure what to do, that you would reach for the questions we have been presenting in this series, because we think that the better the question, the better the answer, and that will ultimately take you to where you want to go. In part 1 of the series, this was the question. Am I being honest with myself, really? Like it's an invitation to explore internally what's going on. And when I tell people that, well, I'm just, this is what I want, well, why? Am I being honest with myself? Do I feel pressure to do a certain thing, to want a certain thing? Am I scared? Is there a cover story for the feelings that I'm telling people about? Am I being honest with myself, really? In part 2, this was our question. What story do I want to tell? When this season of life, when this chapter, when this circumstance, when this obstacle, when this opportunity, when all of these things are things in my rear view, when they're in the past, when I get to tell the story of the decisions that I made, what is that story? And if I can see that story play out, what do I need to start doing today so that I can write that story? What's the story I want to tell? And then part 3, this was our question. Is there a tension that deserves my attention? When you're making a big decision, when you're faced with difficulty, and you want to take a step of action, but there's like a little on the inside, a little bit like I don't know what you would call it, a nudge, like a little gut feeling, and you're like, ooh, something's a little off there. Are you paying attention to it? Maybe you're just a nervous Nelly and you don't like making decisions. Or maybe it's your conscience saying, hey, we heard something about this before. Maybe we should slow down. Or maybe it's even God. It's trying to get your attention, be like, hey, don't move so quickly. Think this one through. Are you giving any attention to that internal tension? Now this week, we're going to take a look at another question with the time that we have left. We're going to take a look at a question that I think can really be useful. It's like they're like tools in your tool belt to go for when you don't know what exactly it is you're supposed to do. This question is very useful in, I think, so many areas of life because life rarely fits into neat little boxes. Life is messy, life is wild, and sometimes we need great questions to make sense of it. I think this question will do that. For instance, life rarely falls into the simple right and wrong categories. Sure, there are major things like, should I kill this person? I don't know, I don't think that's a hard one. That one's pretty easy, right? Don't kill. That's a good one we can get on board, right? That's not right, that's wrong, right? Okay, if you have the opportunity to think about it, it means that you're probably premeditated. All right, let's not go there. But the idea is, right and wrong. But there are other questions that don't fall into that, where it's not neat. Where you're like, I'm not sure if the right or wrong question even makes sense. For instance, every Thursday night and every Sunday afternoon, when I leave this building, and we're all wrapped up and done, I want to stop and get fried chicken. And is it right? Or is it wrong? I heard one yes, thank you. It is absolutely, it tastes so right. But is it right or wrong? And we're going to come back to this, I promise. This goes somewhere. But like seriously, is it right or wrong? I don't know if that's even the right question for this kind of thing. There are other questions like, should I spend more money on a guitar, because I love guitar and I play guitar, than my car is worth? Is that right? Or wrong? Don't tempt me here. I already struggle with that enough. But is it right or wrong? Is it right or wrong to want to take a job with higher pay, with more opportunity, but it's going to cost way more of your time? Is it right? Or is it wrong? Is it right or wrong to want to move out of state, to start your life like living on your own independently, right? Where it may mean leaving some friends back home. I don't know. Is it right or wrong to want to move away from family because you've experienced tension and difficulty and you know the proximity isn't always good for you? Is it right or wrong to want to leave and move away? Is it right or wrong to spend extra time with that somebody at work and give them a little extra attention? Is that right or wrong? Is it right or wrong to then seek them out online and find their social media? Is it right or wrong to send them a message? I don't know if this question, simple right and wrong, black and white, yes or no, is enough. And because most of life is not that simple. It's hard, it's gray, it lives in this murky, difficult area, and it's messy, so we need a better question, a question that's going to reveal to us better answers. And based on those answers, we can make great decisions that'll point us in the right direction to get us to our destination. So, we're going to take a look at Paul, the Apostle Paul. He's one of the guys that wrote a bulk of the New Testament of the Bible. And in Paul's letters to different churches 2,000 years ago, he said some very, very helpful things. Now, Paul, he was a follower of Jesus, but he wasn't always. In fact, he opposed the way of Jesus for a while. But then when he became a follower of Jesus, he gave his entire life to it. So much so that he actually started churches. He would teach people and create congregations, assemblies of Christians. And then he would write to them from afar because he couldn't be there in person. He became like their pastor via letter. And fortunately for us, we have copies of his letters put together in the Bible, and we get to read them. And the things that he says are super, super valuable. In one of his letters to the church in Ephesus, he's telling them about what it's like now that we live after the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, which the death and resurrection thing is a humongous idea that we do not have the time to get into today. However, this is what he says about those things. Because Jesus died and then rose again, all of us, all of humanity can live in light. Meaning, before Jesus, it was like stumbling around in the darkness. Like we were just like making our way, trying to figure out life, hitting into objects because we could not see. But then Jesus shows up and changes the world. And because of that, our eyes are opened. The light is on, the shades are up, and now we can see clearly now that the rain is gone. He didn't say that, but he did say we can see because we live light. We live in light. And it's in that context, from darkness to light, that he writes the following words that I think are incredibly helpful. He says this: be very careful then, referring to the light and dark, be very careful how you live. Now that you live in light, now that Jesus has shown up and done the work that he has done, we can live carefully. We don't have to stumble into difficulty and obstacles and hurdles and pitfalls blindly. He's like, once we lived without the lights on, and it happened, and we would bump into things, but because of Jesus, we can see. Things are made clear. We can see accurately. Because you can see accurately, be careful. This verb here, how you live, is really actually in the original language, he's talking about walking around. Like when you walk through life, be careful where your feet fall. Don't just step anywhere. If you just step anywhere or just let life live you, you're going to run into all sorts of problems, but we don't have to be that way anymore. Be careful then how you live. And then he qualifies this. He says, not as wrong, but as right. Which is actually not what he said. I do this trick sometimes where I put up what he didn't write, and that's not what he said. But that's what we often feel when it comes to the Bible and living the way God wants it to. There's right and all the things that God's about, and there's absolute wrong all the way over here, and you cannot do anything wrong. But the truth is, life is not that way. So that is not what Paul wrote to those Christians in the first century. He wrote the following: not as unwise. Be careful how you live. Not as unwise. Unwise people, fools, in other words, people who live foolishly, they have the lights on, their eyes are open, and the shades are up, but they act like it's not that way. They still stumble around and crash into things because they're either pretending that the obstacles, the difficulties, the temptations, the stuff is not actually there, or they deny it altogether. Of course, no, that's not going to be a problem at all. It'll be fine. It's going to be fine. It'll totally work out. Don't worry about it. And they crash into these things, and it causes them harm. He's like, not as unwise, but be wise. A wise person uses their senses at their disposal, living in the light. They see the different obstacles, they evaluate them, and then they adjust. That's what a wise person would do. Be careful how you live as a wise person. See, evaluate, and adjust. It's an invitation to live carefully, which is not that exciting, truthfully. You're like, ooh, be careful. Never heard that one before. But like, think about this, right? If kids are playing at the edge of a piece of property towards the street where the cars are driving, do you want them playing at the edge of the street? Why? It's not illegal. It's not immoral. It's not unethical. It's not a right or wrong thing, is it? It's just not wise. It's not the best choice. You never know if the ball is going to go past the curb and now they're going to try to catch it and step into the street, or a stray car does something wild and gets too close for the well-being of the kids. So you're like, hey, be careful. Pull it back from the edge a little bit. Let's create a little bit of a buffer between us and the disaster that awaits us on the other side. What Paul's saying here is live that way. Live carefully. Give care to how you live. Don't just step anywhere and think it's going to be totally fine. There are dangers out there, legitimate dangers out there. Don't pretend they don't exist. That would be a foolish way to live. Instead, set up some guardrails for yourself. Sure, that might look silly to other people. It might be too prude-like for others and what they think of you, but that's to protect you. It's to leave a buffer, give margin, put a shield between you and the danger. Live carefully. And the way we do that is by asking the question, what's the wise thing to do? That's our question for this week. When you don't know what to do, when you're not sure how to proceed, when you're facing a situation you've never seen before, when you're tempted to eat fried chicken for every meal of your life, it's to ask, what's the wise thing to do? Because some things aren't just simple right and wrong, illegal or not, unethical, immoral, whatever. Sometimes it's hard to navigate these things. So choose to ask this question, what's the wise thing to do? And this is a very helpful question by asking this in two aspects. The first aspect is dealing with our past experiences. When you consider all that you have been through, when I consider all that I have been through and how I've handled things previously, when I think about the conversations that I've had with family members that have gone poorly because my temper flares up, what's the wise thing to do when I take that trip to visit my parents? Do I just bring up any old topic and just see how it goes? Or do I carefully choose my steps and not say the wrong thing? When you're back at work and you know there's somebody there that has your attention, but you know how it's gone for you in the past, how it's felt, and where that's led you. Maybe set up some guardrails and be like, you know what? I'm not going to talk to this person. That's not the wise thing for me to do. If you think about how you spent your money and how you like to live on the edge of your income or even beyond it, it's not wrong, it's not illegal, but is it wise, considering how you handled things before? And there's another aspect that I think is very helpful, is to think about your present circumstances. Like, what's going on right now in your life? Let's say there's an opportunity, this is a positive thing, for you to earn more, but you'd have to take on more to earn the more. When you think about your stress levels as of late, sure, the extra money would be nice, but is it, right now, the wise thing to do? It wouldn't be wrong. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit the question. It doesn't really fit, is it wrong to take on more work? Well, is it wise? Knowing how you are right now, knowing how you feel about life, do you really want to add more to an already full plate? So maybe this is not a no forever kind of thing. Maybe this is a no for now kind of thing. You put it off for another time. And you might look around and you have friends who are like, no, well, they're doing extra and they're earning the extra. Why can't I as well? What's right for them might be wrong for you. When you consider your past experiences or your present circumstances, it may be a no for now. It might be a no forever, but it might be a no for now, and you think about it when things change. This is the case for me. I love music. I play music out occasionally, but a couple of years ago, 7 years ago, there was weeks where I would gig 8 times in 7 days, especially during the summer. And it was awesome. The money was great. I'd have fun. I'd play music. It was awesome. But after having a second kid, my wife and I were like, do I really, is it wise to be out of the house so many times during the week where she puts them to bed and I don't? Is that what I'm aiming for? Is that the destination that I want? Do I want to be gigging when I could be home? It's not that it's wrong. It's not that it's illegal. It's not that it's bad. It's just, is that the wise thing for me to do right now? And there may come a time where down the line, when they're older and maybe they have evening plans of their own, where I can return back to that. So maybe it's a no for now kind of thing. What's it for you when you think about your past and what's going on in your life right now? What's the wise thing for you? It might be right for others, but for you in this season of life, or you considering how things went before, it might be the wrong thing right now. But Paul, he doesn't just end it there. He actually he turns a corner a little bit, right? This is an invitation to live carefully, to set up guardrails, to think about how to say no to things that might derail you or take you in the wrong direction from your destination, but then he turns a corner, right? Now he says this, we're going to recap. He says, be very careful, right? How you live, walk wisely, live carefully, not as unwise, but as wise. And then he gives us this inspirational, I think, a beautiful idea of what could be. Making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Quick side note about that last bit, because that's a really freaky sounding, spooky, the days are evil kind of thing. Reading that when I was young, I was like, I don't know what that means. I guess Fridays are cursed. I don't know. But what he's saying here is this. The time at which Paul was alive, there was so much in that world then, 2,000 years ago, that wanted to take his attention, his efforts, his energy, his money, his affection, and it wasn't going to give him anything truly good in return. How much more the case today, where there are businesses and entities and people and things that exist that want to take your attention, your money, your hard-earned income, your affection and your time, and give you very little in return. They're not looking out for your good. In that sense, it's evil. It's the opposite of what's good for you. I mean, if you have ever been on the internet, you know this to be the case. There's a trillion ways to spend your time and to throw money away and to buy this or that or to pour your life into something that is not truly real. So in light of that, he says, make the most of every opportunity. Capitalize on the decisions that you get to make. Even if you're in a circumstance that is awful, terrible, not what you would want for yourself, even if it feels just so bad to be where you are currently, you can probably make the most of that circumstance. You can leverage that opportunity to produce something genuinely good. You can take that and maximize the potential and harness the good that's in this situation, even though it looks crazy and it looks weird. And thus, you can make the most of what you're going through. He wants us to look beyond our past circumstances and our present stuff and think about our future hopes and dreams. Where do you imagine yourself going? And based on that, make your decisions. Propel yourself forward to produce the good that you want, to reach the destination that you want for yourself, that you want for your families, that you want for your kids, for your grandkids, for the people that you care about. So it's an invitation to live strategically. Not simply carefully, though I think some of us probably need to hear that you need to give some attention to how you've been living. But this goes even a step, not just further, but higher. How can you take the stuff that's been handed to you, whether good or bad, the stuff that's showing up in your life, whether you want it or not, and how can you use it well? How can you make the most of what's going on? This might be a silly example, but recently I dropped my phone in the pool twice. I don't know. It's one of the times I was watching a video on finances and dropped my phone, very expensive phone, in the pool, which, think about the odd juxtaposition of that. Probably not the wisest way to spend your money. Then another time I was trying to clean the pool and the pole snapped and I fell in. I looked very coordinated, very graceful. I was a figure skater growing up. Anyway, but because of that, my phone broke while I was visiting my parents in North Carolina. And I came home with no phone, and then a buddy loaned me an iPhone 7, which for those that don't know, the iPhone 17 comes out next month. So it's like using a clay tablet to send text messages. I'm carving into stone, hey, read this. It's like talking and there's a can with a string attached to another can. The phone, the battery life is measured in minutes, and it makes calls when it wants to, and it's just been a real drag to use. And I've been very frustrated by its limitations and all of the things that it does unnecessarily. However, I'm is there a way through this that I can make the most of this? And yeah, so for like 2 weeks, I've been using this phone, and I've decided, you know what? I'm going to just live with what it's giving me, and that's not much. So I don't use it nearly as much. I'm not sitting at home or elsewhere watching YouTube or trying to catch up on what's going on in the world. Like, I just can't. So I'm trying to ride that wave. I'm trying to take this wave of frustration that could hit me and rather be like, maybe I can get on top of this thing and see where it takes me. And maybe I can make the most of this and ultimately, honestly, like be the person I really want to be, not a person who's watching YouTube or addicted to my phone all the time. I want to be a more present friend, coworker, husband, and father, and son, and brother. So maybe I was meant to break. I can't go there. I can't do it. But maybe I can capitalize on this moment. And so, purposefully, rather than like waiting till next month to get the new hotness that comes out or getting a current thing, I bought an older phone that actually works because I don't want to miss important phone calls. But this phone screen is so small I won't install YouTube because I want to keep my destination in mind and maximize this opportunity to help me get there. And I know you're like, Tom, really? The biggest thing you have going on right now is your phone situation? Come talk to me later. I'll set you straight. Like, I understand that it may sound like I'm trying to downplay the severity of the situations you find yourself in, but that is not what I'm trying to do at all. I don't want to downplay any kind of pain or struggle that you're going through. But however, is it possible that there's a way to capitalize on it, to make the most of every opportunity, though the days may be evil, that can push you in the direction you want to be going in? Is there a way to ride that wave instead of be smashed by it? That you can reach new places or reach the places you want to be? Because there's a way forward by asking the question, what's the wise thing to do? So I have some questions, as we've been like ending every message, that I think hopefully will stir some things up for you. About wisdom, about making the wise choice. Not simply right or wrong, or what's permissible or okay, but better than that. What's the wise thing to do? You might be facing a breakup, or a relational strain, or some kind of serious friction in an important, whether romantic or familial or friendship relationship. Based on how you've handled that in the past, what's the wise thing for you to do? There's opportunities. It's a positive thing for extra hours, side work, a gig here and there. But knowing what's on your plate today, with how you feel with life right now, what's the wise thing for you to do? It may not be wrong to spend big money on that purchase or to spend little money on many purchases. But thinking about how things have gone financially for you, what's the wise thing to do? There might be a conversation that's headed your way, knowing that it's going to be heavy and weighty and it bothers you. And when you finally get into it, you recognize that there have been patterns in the past that you wish you could not follow through with. Like, you don't want to follow that pattern anymore. Based on how that has gone in your past, what's the wise thing for you to do today to prepare yourself for that conversation, if it's unavoidable? What can you do now to make a change? When someone disappoints you, breaks your heart, breaks your trust, and there's a temptation to snap and react fast. But if you have an opportunity to ask this question, how would you handle it? What's the wise thing for you to do? Thinking forward, maybe you or someone you love has received some really awful news. A health scare, somebody's in crisis, there's some terrible thing happening. Is there a way, even through the fear, the dread, the pain, the confusion, the uncertainty, is there a way to capitalize, to make the most of this season? Not saying it's necessarily easy, but is there a way to use this for good, to use this to bring about good in your life and good in the lives of the people around you? If you're facing an ending, a transition of sorts that you didn't ask for, that showed up, because life just has a way sometimes of throwing us curveballs. Is there a way to make the most of this situation that perhaps you wouldn't be able to make? You wouldn't be able to capitalize on anything like this if it weren't this way. And you wouldn't ask for it, you wouldn't pray for it to be this way, but it just happens to be. Can you make the most of this opportunity by asking what's the wise thing to do? Because the truth is, we can hide behind right and wrong, especially in religion. It's easy to ask, well, this is right, this is wrong. But the better question is to try to live and to ask, what's the wise thing to do? Because that's something that can bring about the best decisions that will point us in the right direction and hopefully take us to our destination. So if you don't know what to do, the wise thing to do is to ask, what's the wise thing to do?